If you still believe modern relationships are ruled by love, you've already lost. They're not built on loyalty, not on promises, and definitely not on good intentions. They're built on leverage, on power, on subtle control, on emotional gravity. She doesn't stay awake thinking about the man who gives her peace. She stays awake thinking about the one who confuses her, the one she can't fully predict, can't fully own. That's not manipulation. That's human nature. And Machiavelli wrote about it centuries before psychology ever put it in textbooks. He didn't write fairy tales. He wrote about power, fear, and influence. And in his darkest truths, he hinted at the emotional weaknesses women don't want you to uncover. Because once you see them, you stop chasing love. And instead, you become the force love bends toward. So ask yourself, are you begging to be chosen? Or are you ready to control the game she's quietly playing? Today, I'll show you the 10 triggers hidden inside her emotions. Learn them, and you'll never be powerless again. Validation is currency, not a gift. Attractive women live inside a storm of validation. One post, one story, one carefully angled selfie, and within seconds, her phone lights up. Notifications flood in, likes, hearts, fire emojis, endless comments calling her beautiful, gorgeous, queen, angel. Then come the DMs, men competing with each other, tripping over themselves to praise her, hoping one flattering word might separate them from the pack. But here's the reality. It doesn't separate them. It drowns them. Because to her, this flood is not rare. It's routine. It's not special. It's expected. Most men make the fatal mistake of thinking validation is the path into her world. In truth, it's the very thing that makes them invisible. What is abundant is worthless. What is free is forgotten. Think of validation like money. If everyone had millions, it wouldn't matter anymore. It would lose all value. That's what happens to compliments in the life of an attractive woman. They are printed and handed out endlessly, and therefore they carry no weight. But scarcity creates desire. Rarity creates value. The man who withholds, who does not instantly leap into the chaos with fire emojis and desperate flattery, becomes different. He is not another face in the flood. He is the one outside of it. His calmness signals abundance. His restraint signals self-respect. His silence makes him louder than the crowd. And here lies the paradox. When a man like this finally does give validation, when he delivers one single, precise compliment, it feels like gold. Because it wasn't free, it was earned. It came after effort, after investment, after she proved herself worthy of it. That single word becomes more powerful than 1,000 generic praises from the masses. This is the psychology of value. Humans treasure what costs them something. When validation is given like candy, it dissolves instantly. When it is rare, when it is a reward, it lingers in the mind and becomes unforgettable. So the secret is simple. Stop giving validation as if it were a gift anyone deserves. Treat it like currency. Spend it sparingly. Deliver it with intention. Make her earn it. Because in a world drowning in empty praise, the rare man who gives validation wisely becomes priceless. Emotion crushes logic. Most men approach women like they're applying for a job. They present credentials, job title, income, education, achievements. It's logical. It makes sense to the male brain. If you show her that you're accomplished, successful, and stable, surely she'll be impressed. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Logic doesn't seduce. Emotion does. She won't remember the bullet points of your resume. She won't daydream about your degree. She won't replay in her head the exact figure of your salary. What she will remember is how you made her feel in a single moment. That spark of curiosity, that rush of laughter, that slight sense of mystery that kept her leaning in, wanting more. Logic is a straight line. Predictable. Boring. Emotion is fire. It jumps, it flickers, it dances, it pulls attention. If you talk like a report, she'll file you away in the folder of forgettable men. But if you talk like a story, you bypass her intellect and go straight into her bloodstream. This doesn't mean you lie or perform, it means you reframe. Instead of saying, "I'm in sales," say, "I help ideas move people." Instead of, "I'm a manager," Say, "I create calm when chaos erupts." These aren't just job descriptions, they're narratives. They open loops in her mind, they create pictures, they spark curiosity, and curiosity is fuel for emotion. Because women don't fall for spreadsheets, they fall for novels. They don't fantasize about numbers, they fantasize about the way a man's presence makes them feel alive. Your facts might impress her family, but they won't ignite her heart. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Perception is power. The truth itself is secondary to the way it's framed. The cold fact has no value without emotional weight. And this is the mistake most men never correct. They communicate like machines when attraction belongs to poets. So stop reciting facts, stop leading with logic. Facts fade, spreadsheets are forgotten. Become an experience instead. Make your words an emotional trigger, not a data sheet. Because when logic dies, emotion survives. And she will always chase the man who makes her feel something she can't explain. Absence is a weapon. Humans fear rejection more than almost anything, even more than physical pain. This isn't modern psychology, it's ancient biology. Thousands of years ago, being excluded from the tribe didn't just hurt feelings. It meant danger, starvation, even death. That primal fear of being left out still lives inside every human being today, especially in relationships. And it silently controls behavior far more than most people realize. So, what happens when you're always available, always replying instantly, always dropping everything for her? On the surface, it seems thoughtful, but underneath, it drains your value. Predictability turns you into wallpaper, present but invisible, safe but forgettable. She doesn't wonder about you because there's no mystery left to wonder about. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you don't answer right away. You let silence breathe. You let her text sit for a while. You don't always explain where you are or what you're doing. Suddenly something shifts. Her mind begins to race. Why hasn't he replied? Where is he? Is he losing interest? That small spark of uncertainty ignites the ancient fear of exclusion. And what does the mind do when it feels that fear? It clings, it craves, it desires. But here's the key. This isn't about cruelty. It's not about manipulation. It's about scarcity. Anything that is always available loses value. The rarest resources are the most sought after. The same is true for your presence, your attention, your time. When you withhold a little, when you step back occasionally, your presence transforms into something valuable. You're no longer the wallpaper, now you're the painting in the center of the room, the one she can't stop looking at. She invests more. She reaches out more. She works harder to keep you close, not because you forced her to, but because her own psychology leaves her no choice. Absence makes presence powerful. It turns silence into tension. It takes the ordinary and makes it unforgettable. And that's why absence, when used with balance, isn't weakness. It's a weapon. Safety without tension equals boredom. Every woman craves stability. A man she can trust, lean on, and feel secure with. It's built into human nature. Safety is survival. But here's the hidden trap most men stumble into. They mistake stability for attraction. They believe if they're endlessly reliable, endlessly predictable, endlessly safe, that she'll never want to leave. But predictability kills excitement. And safety without tension doesn't fuel passion, it smothers it. Think about it. What happens when she can predict your every move, every word, every routine? At first, she feels secure. But soon, security turns into monotony. She stops wondering. She stops feeling. And when her emotions flatline, her attraction follows. The unforgettable man understands that stability is the foundation, not the entire house. He is both anchor and storm. He provides comfort, but he also sparks curiosity. He's the man who can hold her when she breaks down, but also the man who suddenly says, "Get ready, I'm taking you somewhere tonight," without warning. He's solid in his presence, but unpredictable in his energy. That blend of safety and suspense is what keeps her hooked. Unpredictability doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean instability. It means contrast. Maybe she thinks she knows you completely, but then you reveal a hidden passion, a skill, a side of your personality she never imagined. That shock, pleasant, exciting, even unsettling, jolts her emotions awake. It reminds her that you're not just a man she has, you're a man she must keep discovering. Comfort alone makes you a friend. Comfort mixed with suspense makes you unforgettable. The key is rhythm, consistency without routine, stability without stagnation, safety without boredom. Because attraction doesn't live in calm waters. It lives in the tension between calm and storm, order and chaos, serenity and fire. If you can hold her steady and still make her heart race, you'll be the man she never forgets. Attention has been devalued. We live in an era where attention is infinite, and because it's infinite, it's worthless. A single photo, a simple post, and instantly her phone lights up with hearts, likes, fire emojis, and endless DMs. To her, this isn't shocking anymore. It's her normal. She is constantly flooded with male attention, and like anything in oversupply, it loses its value. This is where most men fail. They believe giving more attention will separate them from the rest. The constant good morning texts, the instant replies to every story, the endless string of compliments. But instead of standing out, they disappear into the noise. Predictability kills tension, and background noise, no matter how sweet, is always ignored. The man who rises above doesn't do it by starving her of attention completely, because neglect doesn't create desire, it creates distance. He separates himself through quality over quantity. He's deliberate, he's selective. He doesn't flood her with words, he chooses moments that matter. He doesn't compliment for free, he does it when she's earned it, when she's invested, when it carries weight. That's why his attention feels different. When he finally replies, she notices. When he finally engages, it feels rare. In a world drowning in cheap validation, his presence becomes a reward. His words feel like gold. Scarcity always creates value, and the man who understands this turns even a simple text into an event. Women are addicted to significance, and significance only exists when something isn't guaranteed. If you want to be unforgettable, stop treating your attention like loose change. Treat it like currency. Spend it with precision. Make it rare, make it meaningful, make it felt. Because in the modern world, silence isn't weakness, it's power. And presence, when scarce, becomes priceless. Mystery hooks the mind. The fastest way to kill her interest is to give everything too soon. Most men, desperate to impress, unload their life within the first few conversations. Childhood stories, career struggles, relationship wounds, every secret spilled. The result? She feels full, not hungry. Curiosity dies, the chase vanishes, attraction fades. Curiosity is the strongest drug the human mind knows. And mystery. Mystery is the dealer. We're wired to hate unfinished stories, unanswered questions, unresolved loops. Psychologists call it the Zeigarnik effect. The brain remembers incomplete things far more vividly than finished ones. That's why cliffhangers keep us awake. That's why a cryptic comment echoes in our mind. Closure is an itch the brain cannot ignore. Now imagine becoming that unfinished story. Share just enough to intrigue, but hold back enough to spark imagination. Drop hints instead of full chapters. Suddenly, you're not just a man, you're a mystery. She begins to wonder, what did he mean? What hasn't he said? What more is there? And here's the truth. What she imagines will always outshine what you explain. Reality is limited. Imagination is infinite. This isn't about pointless secrecy, it's about intention. Let silence work, let a look linger, tell half a story, then shift. Leave open loops and watch her mind race to close them. Because attraction isn't built on information, it's built on anticipation. A man fully known is forgettable. A man half seen, half hidden, is unforgettable. Subtle competition sparks desire. Attraction thrives in tension, and nothing creates tension faster than competition. When a woman knows she already has you, fully, completely, her mind relaxes. And when she relaxes, the chase dies. The spark fades, not because she doesn't like you, but because there's no risk, no edge, no game left to play. Certainty kills desire. But the moment she senses that other women notice you, admire you, or respect you, her instincts flare awake. Something primal ignites. This is not vanity, it's biology. For thousands of years, women survived by selecting men who were already pre-selected by others. If other women saw him as worthy, strong, or valuable, the odds were high that he truly was. Subconsciously, competition is the ultimate signal of value. And here's where most men fail. They try to force this dynamic with bragging, boasting, or flaunting fake admirers. That backfires. It looks desperate, insecure, staged. Real power is subtle. The smallest signals carry the loudest weight. A casual mention of a female colleague who trusts your judgment. A story about a female friend who asked for your advice. A simple, "Funny, someone else told me the same thing yesterday." Instantly, her mind activates. Who was she? Why does he spend time with her? Why do other women respect him? That seed of quiet comparison grows without effort. Suddenly, she leans in more. She laughs harder. She texts sooner. Because deep down, she doesn't just want you. She wants to win you. Understand this. A man pursued only by one woman is average. A man pursued by many becomes priceless. Not because he chases, but because he doesn't have to. His value is validated by the competition around him. You don't need to manipulate. You don't need to flaunt. You only need to live a life where women naturally respect you, and then let small pieces of that reality slip through. The rest takes care of itself. Because when a prize is fought over, its value multiplies, and the man subtly desired by others becomes the man she refuses to lose. Be the project, not the finished product. Perfection is a lie, and worse, it's unattractive. A man who presents himself as flawless doesn't inspire awe, he inspires distance. Why? Because perfection leaves no room for imagination, no space for contribution, no reason for her to emotionally invest. The finished product is admired, maybe respected, but never deeply desired. What truly pulls women in is potential. The sense that you are building, evolving, becoming something greater than you are today. This isn't weakness. It isn't about begging for help or showcasing insecurity. It's about revealing ambition. Direction struggle, controlled vulnerability. When she glimpses the mountain you're climbing, the discipline you're sharpening, the dream you're chasing, she sees a man in motion, and movement is magnetic. It tells her your story isn't finished. You're a novel still being written, and she has the chance to read it as it unfolds. Here's the secret. When she feels she has a role in your evolution, even a small one, her attachment multiplies. Humans value what they invest in. If she believes she is part of your story, part of the shaping of who you are becoming, she isn't just attached to you. She's attached to her own investment in you. She wants to see her influence realized. She doesn't just want the man, she wants the outcome of the man she helped create. That bond is powerful, because people fight hardest to protect what they've built with their own hands. And when she believes she helped build you, encouraged your ambition, supported your growth, believed in your vision, you're no longer just another man in her life. You're her project, her story, her creation, and that's a role she'll cling to. The man she simply admires, she can walk away from. The man she helps build, that's the man she refuses to lose. Lead without crushing. Most men confuse leadership with dominance. They think being the man means raising their voice, controlling every detail, or demanding obedience. But domination isn't strength. It's fear disguised as power. True leadership doesn't shout. It doesn't posture. It moves with quiet certainty, the kind that makes people follow without needing to be forced. Picture two men. The first says, "Be ready at 7. I've got something planned." Instantly, the tension melts. She doesn't need to plan, decide, or carry the weight of the evening. She can relax, knowing he's confident enough to guide. Now imagine the second man. "So, what do you want to do? Where should we go?" Suddenly, the burden shifts to her. She has to choose, organize, lead. And in that moment, attraction begins to wither. because she can't lean into her femininity when she's forced to carry his frame. The deepest truth is this: women don't want to carry the frame. They want to rest inside it. They crave a man whose direction frees them from overthinking. A man who knows where he's going and invites her along, not as a dictator, but as a guide. That doesn't mean stripping her of choice. Real leadership is not control, it's clarity. It's giving her something solid to lean on while leaving her room to move, to breathe, to be herself. Leadership without ego creates trust. Leadership without insecurity creates attraction. And when you lead with calm direction, when you show her through action, not words, that you've got it handled, she doesn't resist. She wants to follow, not because she has to, but because she chooses to. A man who dominates crushes her spirit. A man who avoids leadership crushes her desire. But a man who leads with strength and freedom, he becomes unforgettable, because he gives her the rarest gift of all, the safety to let go. Strategy beats surrender. Most men walk into relationships blind, slaves to hormones and approval seeking. They confuse intensity for power, feelings for control. Machiavelli would laugh at their blindness, because power never belongs to the one who feels the most. It belongs to the one who sees the most. The average man reacts. He texts back instantly. He over-explains. He tries to impress. But the strategist pauses. He watches. He learns. He maps her patterns. What excites her, what bores her, what she fears, what she craves. Then he plays the board with precision. One step ahead, never scrambling, never chasing. This doesn't mean cold manipulation. It means discipline. The ability to think clearly while others drown in emotion. And in love, as in politics, control is never handed freely. It doesn't arrive wrapped as a gift. It's claimed, quietly, intelligently, relentlessly, because the man who refuses to surrender to impulse is the man who ultimately wins the game.